What's up, guys? Sean here with the Hound, and we're going to talk about one of the most infamous coins to have ever been released because it's actually a rarity, and you can only find it in a box of Cheerios cereal. Now, this is going back all the way to the year 2000 when the U.S. Mint had pitched and promoted this new manganese gold alloy that they were going to be releasing on the new dollar coins. Okay, people were sick and tired of Susan B. Anthony's and how much they resembled the size of a quarter. Okay, and rightfully so. I don't blame them for doing that. But this was a coin, ladies and gentlemen, that they were putting so much money into advertising-wise. And one of those things that they did was that they promoted this coin as something that you can find as a part of the release in a box of Cheerios. All right, so the video that we're in right now, we're going to talk about the odds that it took to find one of these, and we're also going to theorize and talk about, are these still findable today? Not so much in a box of cereal, but I'm going to tell you guys the big reason why that you can find these in circulation. All right, it's pretty self-explanatory by the time I get into it, but we have actually also the hard data, the pull rates of this coin out of a box of cereal. And believe it or not, they actually put it right on the box. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about existing coins graded by both PCGS and NGC to kind of give us a baseline as far as how many boxes have existed for these amount of coins to show up in graded holders. Now, in case you guys need a little refresher, the thing that separates the Cheerios dollar from any other coin in circulation as far as another 2000p Sacagawea dollar is all in the engraving. The engraving is slightly modified on the reverse of these coins. Like, I don't even have to get in close, but you can see here in the tail feathers, you can actually see the defined lines on there. And that's how you can tell apart the Cheerios version from a standard version that was made for circulation. And then that's really all you need to know. Now, there are people that have claimed to have found one of these in circulation, and there have been a few people. But, for every 100 people that claim that they found something like this, less than 1% of them actually found a real one. All right, and the coins are in pretty beat up shape. They're circulated. They're not in high grades, but, the coins still have quite a bit of value. But in the case of value, I pulled up the two most recent sales, and they happen to be on Heritage Auctions, guys. So here's one right here that ended on December 15, 2022. So just short of 6 months ago. This one right here is a Mid-State 68, and it says Cheerios dollar. The way that you could get this, of course, is by simply submitting the coin to PCGS. It always helps when you send the coin still in the original Cheerios packaging, which is this black card, and I actually got a picture of it here for you guys. It's in a black card with a shrink wrap that's covering it to hold it in place. But this one right here, $11,700. That was about 5.5, 6 months ago. The second sale, December 18th, so just a week later, this one sold for $5,160. Mid-State 66. So we have a 68 and a 66. We're just going to use kind of like an average of like $8,000, as far as like the overall general value. But as you can see, these things are wildly expensive and they sell for a lot of money, and there's a collector base for it. So when we're looking at this, all right, so there is actually a seller that has a box of this for sale that unfortunately has the link and sent in there. Not unfortunately, but we could certainly dissect this to get a little bit more information. So currently, it's got 1 day remaining. It's at $39 with 6 bids with a $7 ship rate. All right, so when we look at close here, this one has the penny. You can see it's on that black card with a little bit of shrink wrap on there. It would be completely up to you. Maybe as a bet with a buddy or a drinking game or something, whoever loses gets to eat the whole bag of cereal. Considering that it's General Mills, and I'm a firm believer that cereal is full of preservatives and things like that, the cereal probably tastes fine. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It can't be too much different than what it is today. But there you go. Pretty cool relic from 23 years ago. It looks basically no different than what you can pull off the shelves today, honestly. Here's a few other photos. There's a little bit better close-up of the Lincoln set, which I had talked about on my latest Monday market report as a coin to be on the lookout for, because coins of this type, the 2000 Cheerios Lincoln, that grade out mid-state, I think 68 and higher, actually sell for a few $1,000s. So the Lincoln set, don't shy away from this or peel it away and toss it in with your change. There are examples that actually do sell for a lot of money if they grade a certain way. But here's another image here. Here's another one right here. You can see a lot more of the stuff on the back, which we'll get to here, and that's going to be important for us to come up with actual numbers as far as population figures and how many we can speculate exist out there in society today. So this is the front of the box of the cereal. It looks like just a general, good old-fashioned, Cheerios box. I'm pretty sure it still says the same thing. Cheerios may reduce your cholesterol. They got the box top for education, but now these days you can scan those in. But over here on the bottom right corner, it says one free inside. First pennies of the new millennium. You could also win $1 or $100 in new golden dollar coins. See back for details. That's interesting. I forgot that there was an option for you to win $100 face value of the new Sacagawea dollars. Now, the question is it going to be the Cheerios versions or just the basic versions? That's kind of like what I've always pondered, as to, because if it was the Cheerios versions, my goodness, we're going to be talking a lot of money, a few $100,000 in coins if that were the case. Now, did anyone really realistically claim that? That's what I want to know. And was it cashed in, for groceries? Ooh, yeah, I don't know, because $100 face value is enough to support, a family of 3 or 4 for a few days. So, it's not nothing for sure. So when we go and flip on the back of the box, now I don't know if there's a better image here of this one. No, there is. That's all we got, but can't really get too much closer in there. Let's see. There we go. A little bit closer. So move it over here. I got a touch screen, so I have a little bit of an advantage here. So the data here, free inside, one of the first 10 million minted year 2000 pennies. So you can find, at the very least, one of those per box. Even has a little certificate of authenticity that's on the back of the Cheerios card. Congratulations, you have received one of the first 10 million minted pennies of the new millennium inside this specially marked box. Each official coin is sealed with a certificate of authenticity. It comes to you straight from the U.S. Mint. All right, so here's the deal. Do I even have it? I don't have my red book here, but the U.S. Mint produced a whole heck of a lot more than 10 million of the 2000 Lincoln Memorials, the P-Mints. They have designated 10 million of these coins specifically for Cheerios cereal. So we know that there are 10 million boxes that were produced, each one containing a coin. It could be a Lincoln cent. It could be one of the dollar coins. So that's the first bit of information that's going to be helpful in all this. So right off the bat, they gave you the total amount produced of the promotional Cheerios cereal boxes and how many of the coins were distributed. So 10 million. Wow, that's a lot of cereal. But when we look at how many people exist in the United States, that's par for the course. That's going to fill up every shelf of every grocery store, up to maybe, 1 or 2 cases worth. If I had to guess, in a case, probably if I remember right, because I worked in a grocery store stocking shelves in the middle of the night. But I never did cereal, and I think there's like
Have eyebrows? I don't think so.
maybe 4 or 6
The opposite
boxes
of
of cereal to a case.
AB has one.
So I
bushy
might be
eyebrow.
wrong. Maybe each store, depending on size, might be allocated for like 4 to 8 cases, 4 to 8 cases. So with that being said, there's certainly no shortage of these coins out there, but I would probably venture to guess that a lot of them were cashed in at some point. You know, they were thrown into a piggy bank. Only because back in the year 2000, you know, the coin market was down. Nobody realized, you know, anything special with these coins. And now here we are in 2023. It's kind of a different story. So in addition to that, let's see if we can just move this over a little bit. So you could also win $1 or $100 in new golden dollar coins. Look inside. One of every 2,000 boxes is a golden dollar coin winner. One in every 4,400 boxes has a certificate good for 100 golden dollar coins. Man, that's crazy. So if there were 10 million boxes of cereal that were produced, I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator here. There we go. 10 million divided by 2,000.
4 minutes, maybe 4.5 minutes.
All right, so that equates to 5,000. We're going to say around about 5,000 because I think when you look at the numbers, it's a little bit different. You know, it might be a little bit less than 5,000 by the time you factor in their certificates. Because I'm assuming that they produced 10 million boxes of cereal. Okay, again, it doesn't seem too far-fetched considering the size of our country and the amount of people that live here, and possibly like Canada and maybe a few other areas too. So 5,000 of these Sacagawea dollar Cheerios dollars with the modified reverse probably were produced and inserted into these boxes of cereal. As far as the certificate that's good for 100 golden dollars, if we took 10 million, divided that by 4,400, all right, so it's a decimal point, so 2,272 of those certificates were to exist. Again, I'm using 10 million as far as the number here because it said so. First 10 million minted pennies of the new millennium inside the specially marked box because they made a whole heck of a lot more than 10 million. The number's staggering. I think it's like a billion or so, or pretty close to it. So they also talk about ideal souvenir, special gift, the new golden dollar. So right off the rip, we have come to kind of a loose determination that there could be about 5,000 of these Sacagawea coins, which is quite a bit. But here's the deal. Who ate a lot of cereal back in the day? And probably today, right? A lot of kids, right? A lot of kids, you know, probably if I had to throw a demographic out there, probably in that 5-6-year-old range, going all the way up to maybe early 20s. And again, we're talking 23, 24 years ago, you know, back when, you know, coin collecting was still an old man sport and kind of still is today. But, you know, there was a much younger audience in today's hobby than there was back 23 years ago. I would probably speculate that a good fair amount of these that were found, both the Lincoln cents and the gold dollars, were torn out of the package and spent. You know, kids by nature have a compulsion to spend money. My daughter is one of those. You know, she gets $10 in her hand. It's like, let's go to the store. I want to find something. So this is no different. And that's all part of the psychology of it. So we're kind of basing off of the fact that maybe out of the 5,000 that exist, and we're going to assume that 98% of the amount of boxes produced were consumed. All right, so where we at left here? So a good fair, I would say at least 75% of them were lost through attrition. Right, they were spent. So let's go ahead and take a look at PCGS and NGC pop numbers because that's important. How many of these were found and engraded by the third-party grading companies. So PCGS, our first one up to bat here, has 150 total that were graded. All right, that's a staggering amount of coins for something that's worth, on average, about $8,000. That's a very expensive coin with such a high population count. So make note of that. 150. NGC, well, they split theirs up here. So you have a 2000p Cheerios promotion regular reverse, which is the same thing. It's still the variety. They have 8 of them here. They have another one here. It says prototype reverse, same difference. 45 there. And then another one here. I don't know why they split it. Well, they have mid-state proof-like, and they just have regular mid-state. So altogether here, let's see, 53, 56. So 56 plus 150, that's 206 pieces that were graded. Now, what we don't take into account is maybe cross-grading. Maybe one was graded through NGC. They didn't quite like the grade, sent it off to PCGS, and vice versa. So there might be some overlap in these numbers. But nonetheless, that's 206 out of the 5,000 that were rumored to be made in the boxes of cereal. So that's pretty incredible. Now, if there were, again, 10 million boxes of cereal, you're going to be in about 1 in, let's see here, your 1 in 5,000 boxes of cereal is going to include one of these gold dollars. So those are pretty long odds. You're going to have to spend a whole lot of money. And let's say, for example, that an average box of cereal back in the year 2000, I'd like to say it's about, $3.50, $4 for a kind of like a family size, much like the one that we saw on the listing. There's family size, obviously, and then there's the regular size ones. And they also have like a miniature box. Stores like Walmart and Target have all 3 sizes of these things. Plus they have like another giant size one. So they have various different sizes of boxes. This is kind of like the average. It says 10 ounces. This is like the average size box for this. So in order to find one of these coins, you would have to buy 5,000 boxes times that by 3.5. And I'm just using 3.5. You will have spent $17,500 at a real shot of finding one golden dollar. By God, I hope you find one of those if you're spending $17,000 on cereal. I don't know, nor have I chronicled back in the year 2000 because I was still somewhat in the hobby. I have never heard of any instance where investors or chasers actually bought cases of these back then in the hopes of finding a dollar coin. And why would they? Because I don't think the prototype reverse was actually identified until years later on down the road. So, pretty interesting data. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of takeaway from this. But ultimately, like I had mentioned, some of these were torn out of the package and they were subsequently spent. Which means one thing. There's a real shot of finding these in circulation. And I would assume that there's actually a fair number of them that were spent and have been lost into circulation, but you could still identify the coins. Even if one grades at about uncirculated, guys, it's still identifiable from those tail feathers. So if you did come across one, and let's say at the worst it's AU condition with a little brown, it's going to be pretty circulated. It's still going to be a coin that at the very least is going to be worth at least $1,000. Okay, and that's kind of the good news. That's what you guys, I think, need to know as far as value-wise, how much these could be worth. Because I don't want you guys to chase for something that at the end of the day is only worth about $5, right? It doesn't make any sense. But the Cheerios dollar coins, again, it's a modern rarity. It's one of the top 100 most desirable modern coins to date. It's probably a top 10 coin if I remember, based off of the book that Q. David Bowers had written a number of years ago about the top 100 modern coins, I believe it was, and I think the Cheerios one is on there. So yeah, pretty incredible stuff. So I guess it really does pay to eat your cereal. But don't overlook those Lincoln Cents, guys. If you feel like you have a coin in that packaging that will grade out really high, again, the target's mid-state 68. That's where you make a lot of money off of them. But 67 plus would be a nice little safety net. I think those are worth a few $100. It's worth a shot. It might be worth a shot if you have them. But outside of that, I wouldn't leverage a ton of resources to try and obtain, full boxes of cereal. People are asking $300-400 a box of cereal, when you guys know it's 1 in 5,000 boxes that it took to find even $1. Okay, and if you found the redemption for the $100 face and these golden dollars, I'm willing to bet they're not going to redeem that for you. General Mills, that is. That coupon is long expired. What you want is $1, one of those gold dollars, and that's it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Again, very interesting topic of conversation. Very neat. We actually have raw numbers to deal with here, so that way you guys know, what it takes to find one. And boy, long odds. So for a coin that's only worth about $5,000 to $10,000, seems like a lot, but you have to get really lucky first. Well, I'll see you guys later. I'm Sean with Blue Ridge Silverhound. You guys take care, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next coin video.